Hello and welcome to Alternate Ending, where we are still discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I am this week's host, Brennan Klein. I have once again pushed him down a flight of stairs as we were exiting the stage last time for Bride of Alternate Ending, and I've wrested control of the podcast away from him, but do not fret. In addition to me, you will also be hearing some familiar voices who have been on the podcast before, but at least one of whom I have never actually directly interacted with as a human, which is very strange, only digitally. But let's introduce you first. Gavin, hello. How are you doing today? Gavin McDowell, welcome back to the show.
Hello, I'm at the end of a weekend that I just cannot wait to finish. The kids have been hell, and this is the last hurdle, so I'm very happy to be here.
And what a beautiful hurdle it is going to be. But we've also got Brian Fowler, and I have the memory of a goldfish. We've been on a podcast together already.
Yes,
Brian.
we did the January preview together.
Yes, of course. Because I get so mixed up because I listen to the show too, and so I hear everybody, and I'm like, yeah, I've talked to them. Like with Gavin, I realized 12 seconds before the recording that I hadn't.
You have read everything I've written for the site, I believe. So
yeah, I think that is quite literally true. So
you write things?
A lot of Gavin's words have crossed my desk. What, Brian?
I was just making a joke. I was like, you write things?
Yes.
Oh, he certainly
over
does.
500 comments in the Discus section.
Yeah, and things that anger various churches of various types.
And recently a Frenchman.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, the world's number one. Was it Letouche? Is that what he was mad about?
Letouche, yes. We found the one fan of the Touche franchise. Well, I'll talk about it. I saw the Touche film recently. And they're constant reminders of its existence even when I go to the cinema. There's now a Touche store, and there are advertisements for it every time I go to the cinema. So I will never get rid of this family, and God help me, they'll probably make a sixth one. Its popularity is inexplicable, but anyway, that's not why we're here.
Yes, well, the reason we are here is it is the last episode of the month, so we are going to be doing a bit of a preview about what's coming out in April. But first, as always, we have our movie roundtable. The three of us are going to each bring a movie to discuss. Could be good, could be bad, could be anything. And I'm very curious. Let's start with you, Gavin, because you've already kind of started that rolling. What movie are you bringing to the table?
Well, okay, so in terms of the recent films I've seen, I think of it in terms of... I live my life by liturgical calendars, right? So I saw Mickey 17 right before Mardi Gras, which is the day before
okay.
Lent, and that was for Mardi Gras. I got 40 to 50 minutes of previews before the film, which was highly unusual.
That's the fattest Tuesday.
It was the fattest Tuesday. It's technically a Monday, but it was the fattest Tuesday. On Wednesday, for Ash Wednesday, I saw the fifth Touche film, God Save the Touche, and that was a form of penance. As I had recently published on the column, I updated going back to the well of bad French cinema, where I reviewed the latest Asterix film and the latest Touche film, and I had to throw something into the mix. And you guys actually condemned me to watch the Miraculous film, which was passably mediocre. Touche's was just as awful as I expected it to be. And as we mentioned before, there are people so basically there's a guy who commented on my old column who had signed on to the Discus just to tell me how much he thought my tone was elitist, and that I should realize that these films have no further ambition to make dum-dums laugh. And so, I guess on that level, not a whole lot of people laughed, though, when I actually saw it. I think I was laughing more than other people. But that's not the film I'm bringing to the table.
I'm in suspense.
This past Wednesday, I did see a film that on its opening day, and it's a fairly controversial film. It's about Israel-Palestine, in the form of a fairy tale based off of a piece of German folklore from 1811, collected by the brothers Wilhelm and Jacob Grimm, which was then turned into a 1937 animated film called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And this film is just called Snow White, or Disney Snow White, which is a lie, because this is not Disney Snow White. I mean, iconographically it is. But, the 1937 film is kind of a masterpiece, right? Very important piece of animation. the first full-length animated film for people who don't know better. So for most people, it was preceded by at least one other extant film and several that have been lost. But still very, I mean, the Disney remake thing, or or demake for short, I guess. They're taking films that have established themselves as good and asking themselves a question: what if these films were not good? And they've desacralized Pinocchio already, and Pinocchio is probably a better film than Snow White. But there feels something feels especially. This feels worse in some ways because Snow White is such an important film in the history of cinema, the history of animation, and to see it put through the remake factory mill, like doing things like adding backstory and geopolitics to a fairy tale, which is what everyone wants from their fairy tales, and then adding a number of original songs, one of which is called Princess Problems and sounds a whole lot like it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, except with princess replacing Christmas. That's what it played in my head. And then, like the things you already know is that Gal Gadot is in this movie playing Evil Queen, and she's god awful, both as an actress, but even worse as a singer. They give her 2 songs. The first of which, I guess, Zoomers like to say secondhand embarrassment. This felt more like second degree embarrassment, in that it was painful. And then you have the dwarves, which are like Uncanny Valley abominations. Grumpy's head is as big as his body. And Dopey looks like, I should have looked this up. I think, is it Alfred P. Newman?
Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine?
E. Newman, yes. Dopey looks like Alfred E. Newman. And he has an arc, and the arc is that the other dwarves make fun of him because he's dopey, and that's why he doesn't talk. And then Snow White, who's played by Rachel Zegler, who's the only reason this isn't a half star instead of 1 star, she gives him some therapy talk and teaches him how to communicate by whistling, which is the introduction to one of the songs they did retain from the original. Then he talks.
We have to hear Dopey speak?
It turns out he's actually the narrator at the end.
I don't have to hear Dopey speak. I'm not watching this movie.
Does he speak like Morgan Freeman? Like, how does he sound?
To be honest, I don't even remember anymore. It's just like, when I heard the narrator, I was like, this narrator sounds like a goofball. Why did they choose this narrator? Why isn't it someone like Sonorous? Says, oh, it's Dopey who's reading the story afterwards. And they'll say they mess up this, like, all my favorite parts of the movie, which of course are like the scary parts when she's lost in the woods, when they're chasing the witch at the end, and what's the other scary part? Oh yeah, when she's transforming. Right, they fuck up all of those like disastrously. The transformation is lame, and of course they rejigger the ending so that there's a big confrontation between Snow White and the Queen.
Of course, I mean, you get a powerhouse like Gal Gadot, you need to give her a little more to do.
Well, no. It's just like a crucial story point revolves around Snow White's ability to remember names, such as the 7 dwarves' names, and that's as much character development as she has. And also, there's no Prince Charming. It was like, forget him; he was lame. I mean, this is the guy that visits castles and Max on the scullery maids. So I don't miss him, but he's replaced by a charming thief/rebel and his 7 companions who add an additional act to the story. I think I've said enough.
Wait, he has 7. So are there 14 companions overall?
Okay, look, there's Snow White and her 7 dwarfs, and then there's this. I think his name is Jonathan the thief, and he has 7 companions of his own. One of which is an actual dwarf, like a little person, and to Peter Dinklage's credit, it's not him. So he's he's learning to avoid these types of projects. It hurts so good. Like, if you like bad movies, you need to see it. If you like travesties, you need to see it. Brian, you don't need to see it. If you have self-respect, you don't need to see it. If you have strong opinions about Israel Palestine, you probably shouldn't see it.
Is there? I mean, obviously, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot have opposing opinions on this topic, but is there actual something about this topic in the content of the movie?
Hell no.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure because I was a little unclear on where you were going with that.
No, you have to read. You have to read into it. You probably could construct one if you really wanted to. I'm not going to.
Yeah, desperately don't. But it sounds a lot like, in a bad way. So one of the things I like about the Disney Channel zombies movies is the fact that each new movie adds another ensemble and it becomes this overcrowded mess. But this 7 and 7, this is a full 7 brides for 7 brothers that they have thrown into what is already Snow White, and that does sound like a disaster. At the end, I'll see it at some point. Hope in a way where probably. I have my avenues. I live in LA. I can purchase things from places for cheap that don't give the money to the people who are making the movie, but is still legal to acquire. And I like to exercise that option when I can.
Right. Well, I'd be curious to see. I think I'm the only person who's stupid enough in our group to actually see it. Though it has gotten me my second most popular review on Letterboxd.
Oh, congratulations!
I've always wanted to be Letterboxd famous. So it's 55 likes in less than a week.
That's good,
still
especially
behind
for
French,
a bigger movie like that.
Still behind French Fried Vacation 2, which is my most popular review. But anyway, Brian, I'm sure you would like to talk at some point, or you, Brennan,
well,
the host.
I just have one question about this movie.
Fine, yes.
Why did you go see it?
So I could talk about it on this podcast.
Fair enough.
And thank you for your service, Devin. But yeah, Brian, do you have a movie?
I do have a movie, and it's not much better, unfortunately.
Oh no, what is it?
Well, I stayed at home and watched Netflix light $320 million on fire.
Oh no, you got electric stated.
I did indeed. And there was a point, I don't know, a third way through the movie where I had the thought of, this isn't as bad as I expected. And as soon as I had that thought, there was like 3 terrible jokes right in a row. I was like, no, this is every bit as bad as I expected. But quickly, it's a alternate history, sci-fi, and action movie about Walt Disney invented a robot when he opened Disneyland that was like an actual sentient robot. So robots got built, became part of society as like slaves, essentially. There was a big revolt, a war in the 90s. Not Steve Jobs, played by Stanley Tucci, developed a technology that let humans win the war. Robots have been sent to, essentially, an open-air prison.
Yeah, a reservation of sorts.
And it's set in 1994. Which, if I'm not mistaken, Brennan, that's an important year to you.
I mean, important in the sense of it's when I was born. I wasn't up to a whole lot then.
You don't remember the robot wars.
Yeah, I don't remember too much about the power of rock and roll in that time, which is what the Apple is about. But yeah, tell me about a robot version of this.
So the first problem I have with the movie is just the details are sloppy. Like they have this montage of news about, they go through the whole war just in a montage because the movie actually takes place after the war's over. But it's like, in Detroit, Kid Rock held a concert to celebrate, and then it's like the next screen says 1994, and I'm like, who the fuck knew who Kid Rock was in 1994?
Yeah, that seems bizarre. And
you can
I mean,
see where a lot of the money was spent. Like the CGI robots look good, not oh my god, this is James Cameron has broken through a new level CGI, but it looks good.
But to what end? Because don't they look good while they are underlit in murky Russo brothers atmosphere?
Of course they do. And with that patented Netflix digital sheen that makes all their movies look so enticing. And then you've got, like I said, Stanley Tucci plays the villain. Spoiler, he's a villain. And it's a role that Stanley Tucci could literally have done in his sleep, so props that he actually woke up and came to set. Chris Pratt said, I'm working with the Russos and it's sci-fi, so I can just do a half-ass Star-Lord, right? And he was pretty much done. And then the lead is Millie Bobby Brown. Now, I've never watched Stranger Things. I don't know if she's good in Stranger Things or not.
I saw season 1, and she's quite good in that.
She is not good in this.
Okay.
She is just flat.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is she?
3 or 4.
Okay. All right. These don't go to 11.
It's not. It's
I-
not bad. That's the biggest problem. It's not bad enough to be fun. It's just dull. It's got a lot of jokes, one of which I laughed at.
Okay, that's something.
There was one joke, and because I don't care about spoiling this movie, I'm just going to spoil that
Okay,
joke.
warning everybody.
There is the obvious moment where Chris Pratt's character decides to help out of altruism instead of.
Yeah, because Han Solo did it.
Of course, exactly. He sits down. He's like, "I'll help you." Blah 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 blah. And she looks at him and goes, "Did you stop being an asshole?" "No, I just got a haircut." And I went, "Ha! That was funny."
Oh,
That was the extent of the humor that worked for me in the entire movie.
okay.
Okay.
That's kind of funny. I do have a spoiler related question for you, Brian.
Shoot.
So again, audience, plug your ears. Everyone across the world. Is Stanley Tucci secretly a robot?
No.
Okay, I
Stanley
thought that might
Tucci is
happen.
not a robot. He just
Okay.
he developed the technology that let them defeat robots by putting their minds into drones.
I'm sure.
And you'll be shocked to learn he did this by doing something evil.
Oh no. That's truly shocking. Just as shocking as my favorite thing about the Electric State phenomenon is that less than a week into its run, it was charting below Craven the Hunter on Netflix in the United States.
I saw that.
Ow.
Yes.
Ow.
I think I saw that on Screen Rant, in fact.
Yeah, actually, I wrote about that. That was my article.
Oh, did you write that
Yeah, I
article?
wrote that article.
I only saw the headline. My apologies.
Yeah, no worries. Well, everybody give me some clicks. But yeah, no, that's very exciting. This is one that just like wow, how Brian has abstained from Snow White. I am abstaining from Electric State. It seems like this movie's vision is, what if Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown had slightly longer, blonder hair? And I don't need that question answered for me.
You know, the Russos are going back to Marvel. What is it, next year that Avengers Doomsday is coming out?
Allegedly. That
And it's
shit's
like-
gonna get so delayed. I don't see a way for that not to happen.
But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think going back to Marvel solves their problems, and I don't think they solve Marvel's problems, despite all the success they had together before.
Yeah.
I just think they're out of tricks.
No, I mean, well, they don't solve Marvel's creative problems. They do solve Marvel's problems of, we need any way for people to get excited about this junky catastrophe we're putting together, because we had to slap it together after Jonathan Majors exploded his career.
And I do guess they helped get Robert Downey Jr. back, which probably helps the bottom line of the movie.
I mean, I think people have fallen off of the Marvel spell. I mean, I spoke my piece about this the last time I was on the podcast. It's just,
Right.
I think the spell's broken. I don't think people really care about Marvel movies
Yeah,
anymore.
I think Endgame was too good of a jumping off point for a lot of people.
Including me. That's where I jumped.
Yeah, it wrapped up so much story of years of build. But no, I don't use the word slop often when I describe movies. I think it's kind of a lazy criticism. But The Electric State is pure $320 million worth of slop.
That sounds really just degrading to the art form.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything else to add, or should I hop onto my my movie pick?
Is it better than ours?
I think it has to be. And this is actually my final Patreon request. You can no longer make me watch movies through the Patreon, which I am okay with. But this is my final one. This is from Freya Neely, and I'm sorry it's taken a little while to get to this one, but I wanted to treat it right. It's a movie that is important to the kind of gay cinema sphere, and I had not seen it before. It is the 1980 German movie Taxi zum Klo, which in English you might know as Taxi to the Toilet, which is this is the rare situation where the German title is more poetic than the English title. But it is a movie about a school teacher who teaches elementary school in Germany, but he also he has the double life is a strong word, but he has a work life and he has a home life, and in his home life he is the horniest bastard on the planet, and he likes to go cruising. It's got a very kind of Teutonic frankness about sex, and specifically about gay sex, that is really interesting. but you're getting a lot of stuff. You're getting a glory hole. You're getting a blowjob. You're getting a golden shower. They're just doing everything, and certainly at the time, this is much more transgressive than Cruising ever got in terms of what it is depicting on screen. And that's why it was kind of shocking, and that's why it's kind of a landmark situation. But yes, it was written and directed by its star, Frank Riplow. It's about his character just kind of doing his life. There's a bit of a narrative thread about his relationship with a man that he meets named Bernd, played by Bernd Broderhup. And I did like it. I liked it a little less than I was hoping that I would. I think it doesn't hold the same kind of shock value in 2025 that it does in 1980. And I think that's what Frank Riplow was leaning on a little bit, because narratively it's a little thin. It kind of overdoses on juxtaposition, where it's just like, oh, we're going to cut between him having a casual conversation with his coworkers versus him putting on a cock ring when he's at home. And it's like, oh, imagine someone has sex when they go home. Like, it's not that shocking to me to think about. And as a gay person, I'm like, yeah, I've seen these things before. But it's still a European kind of gay art house movie from the 1980s. So it has a tremendous amount of value that just kind of comes from that. There's a beautiful sequence where he is flirting with a guy who is pumping gas at the gas station, and they're definitely going to lean on that phallic imagery. But there's a part where the guy's giving him his phone number, and he has his hand on the top of the car, and it's the early morning, so the car's all dewy and misty. And then when he walks away, the handprint remains on the top of the car. It's a very Titanic before Titanic, like the scene in the old car in the storage area, and it's incredibly sensual and in your face in a way that is very different from what the rest of the movie's doing. It is quite funny a lot of the time. It is quite artistic a lot of the time. I wouldn't say I was bored, but it's a little flatter than I wanted it to be. I do prefer, if we're talking vintage European gay smut, I do prefer Fuggy as a Bastard, which is a movie that I talked about a couple months ago. And I did just watch, there's a Canadian movie I just watched called Love and Human Remains, that was from the 90s, and it's frank and queer and sexy in a way that just kind of worked a little more for me. But Taxi Zoom Clo, pretty good. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It does have this kind of slice of life quality, a lot of Robert Altman-esque jabbering going on, but in a way that I could handle, in a way that I did not with California Split. So I would recommend it if you haven't seen it. I think it's an interesting historical piece. Have either of you seen this movie?
No.
Have not.
I've not heard.
Okay.
You might be shocked.
I have no knowledge of German cinema, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, watch Run Lola Run and then see how that goes.
Yeah, that's been a movie I've been going to watch someday for like 2 decades, and I still haven't.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. Run Lola Run is like
not long either. Very kinetic,
not at all,
as the title suggests.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if you care to watch things, I can totally help you build a playlist. But before we hop into our April preview discussion, I do want to thank all of our new Patreon members. We have a bunch of people that joined lately. They're all joining at the crew head tier, which means you get to vote in polls. There will be a new poll up at the time that that this episode airs, because Bride of Alternate Ending, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about Fast Zombies for Q2 of 2025 in honor of 28 years later. You can drop a vote on that. I have a lot to say about this, and you will probably hear about it on Bride of Alternate Ending. I have a loose description of what a zombie is. If you can bite someone and take their brain away and make them bite other people, you're a fucking zombie. But anyway, People who've joined to this tier also gets access to the trivia rounds. We are going to be doing another trivia game soon. I'm putting it together as we speak. I'm very excited. JV, if you're listening, there will be another owl round. It's the return of these superb owls. But yes, all of the people who have joined, I'm sorry if I butcher any of your names, but thank you so much for joining. Jacob Walters, Zev Valency, Thomas Stubbs. Ooh, maybe I'm just going German because of Taxi zum Klo, but we've got Aaron Lorline, we've got Brent and Seth, we've got Ven Verschoor, and we've got Margaret Duran. Thank you so much to all of you. Your support literally keeps this podcast going because we've been going through a lot of changes lately. We're adjusting the way that ads work on the site to make it more readable and more nice for everyone to be on. We're doing a lot of things. So Patreon support is the thing that makes this show exist. So we're really grateful for that. If you haven't joined, please do. There's a bunch of stuff you can get from the tiers. Take a look. That will be in the link in the show notes. Also, a little tip and trick. If you do join the Patreon, I recommend you do so on the browser and not via the Apple app, because Apple will upcharge you like 50 cents to $2, and that does not go to us. That just goes to Apple. So use your browser if you don't want to waste money for no reason. But that is that for Patreon. And we are back. I am still here with Gavin McDowell and Brian Fowler. We are here to break down the upcoming movies of April 2025 after what was I would say is a pretty brutal March. We will see how things go for us. But I see here, Gavin, you're based in France, and you have added a movie that is kind of off cycle. What is this?
Well, the thing is,
April 2nd.
In France, new releases come out on Wednesday, and the reason for that is because kids only have half days of school every Wednesday. And so that's how we get this. I added at the end, we get Thunderbolts in April, and that's just because April 30th is Wednesday, whereas you guys have to wait till May, all of 2 days later. Anyway, I looked at the French releases, and they're not very interesting, but this one has just been advertised to hell and back. And I thought I'd just mention it. I might even put the trailer in, the show notes or something. It's called, the French title is Natasha Presque Hôtesse de l'air. Natasha, almost a flight attendant. And so it's weird. It's about this woman who has dreamed about, since she was a little girl, to be a flight attendant, except she's too tall. And then she gets into a bunch of it's like something a cross between a heist movie and a crime movie, where like the Mona Lisa is stolen and she needs to track it down. I could not figure out the plot of this film from watching the trailer, even with a pretty good knowledge of French. The thing that caught my eye is that Isabelle Adjani is in it for some reason. And it brought me back to a terrible Netflix film that was called Voleur or Voleuse, something like that. Thieves, with Melanie Laurent and Adele Exarchopoulos. That's one. That her. The blue is the warmest color. The one that isn't blue. Right. She was in that. But Isabelle Adjani was the villain in that Netflix film, and that was the worst performance I'd ever seen from her. And I'm wondering if she's becoming like Bruce Willis, where she's unable to make decisions for herself anymore, or if she's just really that checked out from doing movies. It just kind of hurt me to see her in that. Maybe she's good in this. I don't know. I will not know because I will not be seeing it. But anyway, we can move on to the next big film, or
a film.
Big film of April is also our big film.
Yeah,
of April.
A film I'm sure everybody's going to rush out to see, which is on April 4th. The big wide release is a Minecraft movie, and that is what it is called. I don't play Minecraft. Brian, do you play Minecraft?
Never played it. But I do find the title terrifying. That it's a Minecraft movie and not the Minecraft movie. Because that implies they are intending several.
Right. So are you familiar with Wang Chung's song "Everybody Have Fun Tonight"?
I am.
It's like there's a lyric in the middle of it where a guy just shouts out, "Can you tell me what a Wang Chung is?" And can you tell me what a Minecraft is? What is it?
It's a video game.
Is it like EverQuest?
Yeah, it's a video game. There's squares involved and you build stuff, I guess.
And I think you build like defenses against things or some. I've never played it. I'm old.
Why is it? Why is it so damn popular?
I don't know. It's Microsoft bought it for billions though, so
Yeah, we are maybe not the core demographic, but this looks exquisitely terrible even by the standards of what this thing could be.
Well, I was shocked when I saw the director as Jared Hess, and I was like, where do I know this name from? And of course, he's the director of Napoleon Dynamite, and I guess and also Nacho Libre. So this is his at least his second team up with Jack Black. I haven't been following him since the mid aughts, so I don't know what he's been up to. But apparently, he's been solvent. Though they're hiding his name, though he's not like a recognizable.
Well, yeah, I
name.
mean, is Jared Hess isn't selling a movie in 2025.
Right. So this is all brand recognition, and Jack Black, Jason Momoa, and three other people I don't recognize. Maybe I should. I don't know. Are there other?
But yeah, there's at least it is the most like kind of it's like a weird irresponsible kludge of people. Jennifer Coolidge is allegedly in this movie somewhere, and I do feel bad for her, but she has been through worse. Danielle Brooks is the biggest person that is also in this movie. You may know her from Orange is the New Black. You may know her from constantly being snubbed at the Oscars for various things.
Who was she? Who was she in Orange is the New Black?
That is a great question. Jefferson Tasty.
Oh, Tasty. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then someone named Emma Myers, who is a complete mystery to me. Oh, it looks like she was on She's on Wednesday. She's a Netflix person.
Okay.
oh yeah. I watched Wednesday. I think she was her Wednesday's roommate. I think that's who
That
she
sounds
was.
right. But yeah, so it's just like here's some people, and it's mostly adults. So how would they get into Minecraft anyway? It's just like, all right, here we go.
Well, it looks like they literally got into Minecraft. I mean, it looks like the Jumanji sequel.
Yeah, it's that like they get sucked into the game, and then they have to square some squares. I guess I don't know. I'm not gonna watch that.
Unless this gets like these shockingly good reviews or something, I'm going to forget this movie existed before we finish this podcast.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. Shall we move on?
Yeah, I think there are actually a lot of interesting releases on this date.
Yeah.
Not necessarily good, but interesting. Like the second wide release, I saw the trailer. I have no clue what the hell is going on.
Is that Freaky Tales?
Freaky Tales, yes.
It's like I think it's supposed to be an anthology of some kind, I believe.
Yeah, it's one of the. I think it's supposed to be one of those anthologies where all the stories are happening at once, and you bounce between them.
Huh.
I think is what the impression I got. Not like here's one story, here's another story, here's a third story, but
So it's a trick or treat.
yeah, exactly.
And it's also Pedro Pascal doing something that isn't guiding a magical child across a landscape. So that's good for him. The reason I'm in that this movie was even on my radar is because Jack Champion is in it. He was Spider in Avatar 2.
Sorry.
No, whatever. Your opinion, I don't need to talk about Avatar 2, but I thought he was quite good in Scream 6, and I was like, what does he have for us that isn't him just being trapped in James Cameron's basement?
Yeah. Who was he in Scream 6?
He's Ethan. He's the guy who is Mason Gooding's roommate. He's the white guy with curly hair. And I thought he was really good in that, so I want to see him like starring in actual things where he plays humans, and he's playing a human in Avatar, but just like just other things.
What are the only humans?
Yeah.
Something more down to earth here, huh?
Yeah, perhaps. I just want to see what he's got in his tool belt. If he has other performance styles he can work with, because I thought he was pretty funny, and I was like, let's see what you got. And this is probably not a good showcase for him. I don't imagine he's in it very much, but that's the only reason I care.
I was gonna, if we're done with Freaky Tales, I was gonna say I am definitely interested in one of the limited releases for this day, because Hell of a Summer, which we're back to Stranger Things here apparently, because it's really Finn Wolfhard directing.
Yeah.
How old is this kid? Like, is he in his 20s?
Early 20s?
Is he?
Yeah.
And he co-directed and co-stars with Billy Brick, I believe is the alleged name of the person he's working with.
But it looks to be a throwback 80s summer camp slasher horror comedy, and that is catnip to me.
Yeah.
You guys know me. That is my favorite bad genre of movie.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir.
We know Brennan as well, yes.
I'm not much of a slasher person myself, but I would be much more excited for this if it wasn't directed by Finn Wolfhard. I don't feel like I'm in good hands. Like he's too young.
Maybe.
I mean, he does have a co-director, so
The co-director, I don't believe, is too much older than him, so it's, I think, just two young people.
We'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, Billy Brick, his co-director, is 25 years old.
It's not their culture, you know.
I'm nervous. The genre thing gets me in the door. I'm gonna see Hell of a Summer. That's just the rule. But yeah, I'm a little nervous. The trailer looks fine. I'm curious if there's more to it than what's in the trailer. I would be happy if there was. I think that the Stranger Things cast member who has perhaps learned the most from pretending to be in the 80s is Joe Keery, because he has this bizarre music career where he's kind of copying the Talking Heads, and it's kind of good. But
Oh, you're gonna insult Talking Heads there, putting that "the" in their title.
oh, I'm so sorry.
Talking Heads.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I love music. I don't know about those. It's just not.
Anyway, we are
Anyway,
way off topic.
He copies Talking Heads, and it's kind of decent in an interesting way. And I'm not sure that Finn Wolfhard copying an 80s slasher is going to be anything above a 5 out of 10, but I hope it is.
Yeah, I have no idea if it's going to be good or not, but I'm going to see it. It's not going to play by me. It's a limited release, but I'll see it video on demand or on disc or something.
Yeah, it
probably before the
it'll
year's
show up
over.
somewhere. I think it's Neon putting it out. So they'll get it to you. The movie that I'm most excited about this weekend is called A Nice Indian Boy. It is a gay rom-com where Jonathan Groff plays a white guy who was raised by Indian parents. And Karan Soni he's from you may know him from the Deadpool movies.
He's a driver, right?
Yeah, he
The
plays a taxi
chauffeur.
driver.
Okay, let's go.
Dalhinder,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
But he plays an Indian American who is not that connected to his culture, so Jonathan Groff is kind of more Indian than he is, and they start to fall in love, and it's kind of a comedy of cultures, and in a way that like My Big Fat Greek Wedding is. Or there's a movie that I think is really, really good that came out a couple years ago called Breaking Fast. It's a Ramadan rom-com. It's about a
How
Thank
topical.
Okay, that is that's
you. Thank you. But yeah, it's
And
about
it's
a
Ramadan right now. We can watch it. It'd be on theme.
yeah, you totally should. It's really cute. It's a gay rom-com about a Muslim who's
Okay.
celebrating Ramadan and a white guy who understands Ramadan more than he expects, and they kind of fall in love over the course of the celebration.
30 days though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, is there anything else that's jumping out from this weekend?
Yes, in fact, what is it? The Luckiest Man in America caught my
Ooh.
eye because it's about Press Your Luck. Right, it was about infamous incident on Press Your Luck from the Peter Tomarken era, which is my Press Your Luck because I watched reruns of it when I was a kid, where the guy basically gamed the system and won over $100,000. And it stars the guy from that Clint Eastwood film that no one watched. I think Richard Jewell. I think it's him.
Well,
Someone
it's-
correct me if I'm wrong.
Paul Walter Hauser is the guy. Oh yeah, it is him. He's in this.
Okay, yeah. So the problem is I don't think. I mean, it's an interesting incident, but I don't think it has the makings of a motion picture. Like, it's not really a conflict, and they're trying to make it seem like it's a huge conflict, or like this is something on the level of the JFK assassination or something, like a big cover up.
yeah, it is a fascinating story. The guy I know the story that it's based on. I've known it for years about the guy. He watched the show, like taped it and watched it and memorized every pattern
Wow.
that the lights flashed in and stuff. He broke the show, but yeah, I don't see much of a movie unless it's like a study of the people in the control booth freaking the fuck out as the guy keeps winning.
Yeah, it's the September 5th of game shows.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, but we have some Press Your Luck fans in the Discord, which is the strangest sentence I've ever said. But it's true. Though maybe Mandy really likes Press Your Luck. Maybe she'd be interested in this, but she's more of she's modern era Press Your Luck. She doesn't know the Peter Tomarken stuff.
Yeah, no, I used to watch when we got Game Show Network, I used to watch Press Your Luck a lot. And they actually did a documentary about this guy on GSN.
My sister was in love with Peter Tamarkin, so that was she wanted to watch Pretzel Lock so she could watch the host. So I can't say that about any other game show.
But yeah, I have no idea if the movie will be any good at all, but it exists.
It certainly does. And as someone who, I don't even know the premise of Press Your Luck, I'm not necessarily sold on this one.
So if I make a no whammies joke, you're going to be lost.
Absolutely. Don't know what that is.
Do you want us to instruct you? I mean, I think you just press a button. You just try to land on prizes, right?
Yeah, it was 2 rounds. Like, you'd answer questions to earn spins.
Oh, okay.
And then
you spin.
You'd hit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I played that at the arcade.
It's a very simple game show. It actually does kind of look like an arcade game.
Huh.
And if you hit a whammy, an animated devil takes all your money. And some of those, it's like, bowling alley level so animation.
Like, big money, no whammies. Big money, no whammies. Big money, no whammies.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound that interesting to me.
It's extremely 80s. It's extremely 80s
okay.
show.
I mean, sure. Anyway, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. But we have another midweek drop on April 10th. Prime Video is debuting a movie called G20, where Viola Davis plays the president who, when terrorists attack the G20 summit, she has to save her family and also potentially the free world at the same time with guns and punching and stuff. Is this something we're going to watch?
No. Well, okay.
Viola Davis getting work is a good thing.
And Amazon likes to set money on fire, so hopefully she got a big fat paycheck from that.
The thing is, like, from the premise, I expected it to be more tongue-in-cheek than it was. And it's, like, deadly serious. The trailer is deadly serious. And I thought, are you kidding me? And it felt like a recurring pattern is that all of the releases from this month, or several of them, gave me a very 90s vibe. And this is like one of the myriad of Die Hard ripoffs in the 90s.
Oh, totally.
In some sense, or even a ripoff of Air Force One, which was Die Hard and Airplane. I don't know what this Die Hard at G20, which sounds
Die Hard in a really nice hotel.
Die Hard, I would like Die Hard on a beach, something that's difficult.
It's got to be contained, though.
No, there's absolutely nothing in the trailer that would make me want to watch it. I hope Viola Davis got paid and she can do something more interesting. Please cast her in something more interesting than this. Amazon or anyone.
Yeah, Viola Davis will just say yes. Like, she was in so many of those DC things for 12 seconds. Please get her to say yes to something that's good. But yeah, so that's that. We can move on to the next weekend, which is April 11th. Probably, I mean, there's 3 kind of like mid to upper tier kind of wide releases we're getting. We're getting Warfare, which is kind of a spiritual follow-up to Civil War. It's co-directed by Alex Garland, along with the guy who was the like war correspondent on that movie. Do we care about this?
Well, I mean, it feels very Hurt Locker, like Hurt Locker, American Sniper. Like, we've already had this movie, probably in a better version. And I feel like any Iraq drama, like, way past its sell-by date at this point.
I've been out on Garland since Men. I haven't watched Civil War.
Yeah, me neither.
I quite like Civil War, but this is like true story stuff. It's not really linked to Civil War, right?
No, yeah, it's just like it's just linked in the sense of like Alex Garland had another war movie in him.
I mean, I feel like Alex Garland is just there to add some prestige to whoever is the person whose story is being told. I didn't write down the name of the co-director.
Ray Mendoza.
Excuse me, I apologize, Ray Mendoza. I get the sense. I don't know how much of an Alex Garland movie this actually will be. I'm not watching it.
And
verdict, not interested.
And he very much took the backseat on this. He's not like the director. He's just like also there.
That's what I suspected.
He's a guy who knows how to actually make a movie.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, Ray Mendoza was like, hey, how do you frame a shot? And he'd go, here. The reason I am aware of this movie at all, I'm also not going to watch it. I'm not a war movie person, but it has stolen so many of the hot up-and-coming actors away from things that would be more interesting for me to watch. So This cast is crazy. It's got Defero Wunatai from Reservation Dogs. It's got Cosmo Jarvis from Shogun, Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things, Will Poulter. We've got Kit Connor from Heartstopper. We've even got a Noah Centineo, who is an up-and-coming hot boy who is past his sell-by date at this point. But just basically all of the boys are in this movie just kind of wasting their time in between other projects.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck to them. Speaking of, well, not speaking of anything, but The Amateur. Rami Malek is a hacker and he wants to get revenge for his wife's killing. We've never heard this story before.
This is another 90s movie. Like, what is going on this month?
But hey, Lawrence Fishburne is here to do a sleepy version of Morpheus.
For which decade? It's a 90s movie. That's and what, like, it's just, I've seen this trailer multiple times. Like, this, who is this for? This movie, like, it just seems so generic. It seems like such a waste of everyone's time and talent. I should just say this for every movie that comes out this month.
Yeah. And I mean, there's one thing, the final shot of the trailer, it's him walking away from an explosion and it kind of catches him off guard and kind of throws him off. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool subversion of the, like, cool guy walking away from an explosion thing. But none of the rest of the movie, like you said earlier about whatever G20, it seems so deadly serious, and not fun. Brian,
I have nothing to say about this movie.
Okay, great. So we can move on. We can move on to Drop. Do you have anything to say about Drop?
I have lots to say about Drop.
Great.
I have not been to a movie theater this year yet. Drop is probably going to be the first one I make it to.
Ooh, okay. Is there a particular reason?
Christopher Landon is the reason. I didn't need anything else to get me in the door. He is still riding the Happy Death Day wave for me. I enjoyed Freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as I enjoyed Happy Death Day, but I enjoyed Freaky. Until he makes a movie I strongly dislike, I'm pretty much all in on Christopher Landon.
Yeah, and Drop seems like he's working in a little bit of a different mode. Like, he's just kind of crafting a more, like, tight, straightforward thriller, which I'd be excited to see what he can do with that.
Yeah, it looks a little bit more of a grown-up thriller than, I'm not sure if that's the right word for it, but it doesn't look like a take on teen movie horror.
No.
It looks to be more, a little more mature characters, a little more thriller than horror, I guess.
Yeah, which is exciting. It's to branch out a little bit.
It caught me. I mean, I've seen both Happy Death Day, so I quite enjoyed them. I miss Freaky, and at the end of this trailer, I kind of laughed from disbelief because it seems like an absurd premise. But also, I mean, I don't need. It doesn't look like a very, like, smart movie, but I don't need movies to be smart to entertain me. This is something I could envision seeing in theaters. I don't understand that. The title, though, how is a drop different from like, at one point she says, like, the drop has to come within 50 meters. Like, what's up with that nonsense? How is it different from, like, a normal SMS or any other electronic message that's being sent?
I think it's a specific Apple thing, AirDrop or something like that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's one of these people in the Apple ecosystem there.
It's really weird. I don't know why people would, but if you have your, like, AirDrop kind of open to, like, strangers can just kind of drop things onto your phone, and I don't know why people have that setting open, because that just seems like a stupid thing. But yeah, and AirDrop's mainly designed for you to, like, send larger files quickly to phones that are near you.
Okay. We have an interesting case of the French title is slightly different, and they've changed it. It's called The Drop Game. It's not like, that's not the English translation of the French title. The French just changed Drop to The Drop Game, just like they changed Black Bag to The Insider, like that title. In English, The Insider.
That's strange.
In Switzerland, it's Black Bag, The Insider, just so you don't get confused by the international titles. So Drop Game does not clarify it anymore. But, the basic premise is the same. I don't know, potentially interesting. Certainly more interesting than anything else I think we've discussed up to this point. So going back just to make sure that's correct, that is correct.
Yeah,
So,
certainly.
Which I would say Freaky's worth catching up on.
okay.
It's a fantastic premise.
Yeah, you're talking to someone who doesn't adore slasher movies like the two of you. So
Yeah, that's
I'm aware of this, but it is, and I don't think it's as good a movie as the Happy Death Day movies are.
okay.
But it is a fantastic premise. The title was written as Freaky Friday the 13th.
Right. Yeah, the lawyers got to them.
Right. I don't know if it was Disney or Paramount that had a problem with it, but, or both.
Porque lo nostoso.
But no, I do recommend checking it out if you have time, especially if you're not paying specifically for it. I don't recommend paying the premium just release price when it hit video on demand that I paid to own it, but
well, that was a 2020 release, so things were wet and wild at that point.
That was the only movie I bought at the ridiculously elevated prices during the pandemic.
Good on you. I did that a couple times because I there were certain things where it's like I'm splitting it with my boyfriend at the time, and it's like we'll watch Trolls 2 and see what the fuck that's about. We got nothing else going on. But yes, Gavin, this weekend I feel like there's a movie that you can speak to that's coming out in limited release.
Right. Well, I mentioned the liturgical calendar. We're in the midst of Lent, and Lent is a season that precedes Easter, and Easter means all sorts of Jesus-y movies, both for the believers, and then stuff taking pot shots at believers. Unfortunately, we got one of the first kind. The title is The King of Kings. It is not related to any of the other films by that name, but it is an adaptation of a book called The Life of Our Lord, written by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens. And it was something he had actually written for his family. It was supposed to be it wasn't supposed to be published in his lifetime, and it was not published in his lifetime. It was a considerably like in the 1934, so it's not even the public domain. I'm not even sure if it's in the public domain, which is odd for someone who's been dead forever. It is a CGI cartoon in which a CGI Charles Dickens tells the story of Jesus to his CGI son, and they are also in the story. And I looked at that. I looked askew at it. It doesn't look terrible. I don't know. I feel like I have a professional obligation to see movies like this, even though I'm not really a New Testament person professionally. That is. More looking forward to whatever The Chosen is showing on the big screen during this Easter time. But maybe if it crosses over to France, I might look at it. It reminds me of a film called The Miracle Maker I think it was from the early aughts, which was a claymated Life of Christ, which had a good reputation. It's actually, I mean, I've thought about lobbing it at Tim from time to time. It's not bad, but I always wanted to be better than it is. It reminded me of this, and I'm sure that film, the claymated one, is better than what this one would be. Is that I got the sense that the Dickens one is kind of schmaltzy, like the book itself, which again was intended for familial consumption, not publication. God knows if it's even faithful to the book. Maybe they're just using it as a springboard. But anyway, that's all I have to say about it. I imagine okay. I imagine neither of you are remotely interested.
No, not at all.
No.
Okay, terrific.
So shall we skip to April 18th?
I just want to remark that you had Markdown Sacramento, which also seems like a very 90s ass movie. It's like an indie, like it looks like someone opened up a time capsule and found this indie movie inside it. And yeah. I thought that Michael Cera was Jesse Eisenberg at first, which reminds me of the old joke that they're supposed to be indistinguishable. That's all I wanted to say. And Kristen Stewart is in it for some reason.
Kristen Stewart is around, and good for her. But yeah, this movie it doesn't seem like anything. But yeah, April 18th wide releases. We do have Sinners, Ryan Coogler reuniting with Michael B. Jordan. It is a horror movie. It is one of those horror movies where they're trying to hide in the trailer what the premise actually is. And that's nice, but
the trailer is super confusing. Like, it makes it, I mean, I couldn't tell what the hell this thing, like, is it really horror? It looks like an action movie. Like,
yeah, it's kind of. What, Brian?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of those movies that somewhere between the 1/3 and halfway mark takes a big twist into being horror.
They're like Dusk Till Dawning us.
Exactly the example I was going to do is something along the lines of From Dusk Till Dawn. I think there's going to be some sort of monster. I don't know what kind of monster, maybe the devil, but there's going to be something. Because the tagline or logline or whatever, something about they discover a much greater evil.
It's called Sinners. So
Also,
Yeah.
an invite thinking about the devil. I thought it was people were getting possessed by something. Right? It has
I
Yeah.
mean, Ryan Coogler has a lot of goodwill with me. Michael B. Jordan's a very good actor. I think Haley Steinfeld's in it.
yes.
So, I mean, I'm interested. I'll probably end up seeing it unless it gets bad reviews out the gate.
Yeah, me too. I'm just a little annoyed. I mean, it's totally fine. Like going to a movie not knowing about it. That's a precious thing. That's a thing that a lot of people like to preserve. But like, I like to know a little bit of like, what's the hook here? Like, why do I care about this movie? And I don't quite have that, but I'll see it and then I'll find out if I like it. I'm just not like excited.
The hook is Ryan Coogler.
Exactly, I know.
When I was watching the trailer, I was kind of cockeyed. I was like, "What the hell is this?" Is it Ryan Coogler? I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll watch this." It's Michael B. Jordan. It's like, okay, that's
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give it a shot. He was did he direct Black Panther 2 as well?
I was just trying to remember that.
I think he may have. I think Marvel got to him, which is kind of a
Oh, he did, unfortunately.
Yeah, he
Well,
did.
that's-
But, I mean, that movie never had a chance.
No,
no.
it didn't.
Like,
No.
the first Black Panther is quite good for the Marvel, within the confines of the Marvel restrictions.
Yeah.
Black Panther 2 never had a chance when Chadwick Boseman died and they had to totally rewrite the movie and make it around the fact that he died.
Yeah, no, that's just a problem.
I can't hold that against Coogler or anyone else involved in it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Although the way that it looks, in that it is an incredibly ugly, dark, murky movie, I feel I have to hold against someone. Like, why does the underground or underwater kind of like palace city look so sludgy and disgusting? Like, I
Especially from the same overall company that released Avatar 2.
yeah, it's just whatever. We're not here to talk about Black Panther 2. We are here to talk
Yeah,
about
okay.
the animated movie Sneaks, about a sneaker that's on an adventure.
Yep.
I'm not going to watch it.
Sounds like yet another 90s ass movie. This is just the month of 90s movies. When did Like Mike
Oh, yeah.
come out? Just a second.
Oh my god, probably early 2000s, right?
2002. Ah, I just missed it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
That's still the hangover from the 90s. I think we can skip that one, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any desire to watch a movie about a shoe that's lost in New York going on an adventure.
yeah, no, we're good on that. But here's the next movie. I don't know if this is a real movie. It's on the schedule.
You mean
What, Brian?
You mean not The Exorcist?
Yeah, it's called The Ritual. It's about two exorcists doing an exorcism, and one's old and one's not.
No. And one's having a crisis of faith. And
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I've seen this movie.
yeah. So none of that gets me in the door, but it's Al Pacino and Dan Stevens, and I'm just like, what the fuck is that gonna be?
I did not see a trailer. Is there a trailer?
There's nothing. That's why I don't think it's real. Actually,
It has a French release date,
sorry.
which a lot of these other films don't have. But the release date is 11th of June.
It looks like there's still no trailer.
okay, and IMDb has pushed this to May 30th, so
There
maybe
you go.
we'll hold
Yes,
this
okay.
conversation until next time.
Oh, yep, it does say that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
again, I
well.
don't think it's real.
So this movie doesn't exist
Yeah.
yet.
But yeah, a movie that is real does have a trailer. The Wedding Banquet. There's a remake of the Ong Lee, very early Ong Lee movie with Bowen Yang. The director is the director of Fire Island.
That's wow. Okay.
It looks cute. Yeah. That's what I have to say about that. I'm probably not going to see it because I haven't seen The Wedding Banquet and I do want to see it, and I wouldn't want to watch the
When-
remake.
when was-
before that,
when was
so
the
I'm
original
probably
release?
Not going to catch it. Yeah, 93. I'm much more interested in watching a gay comedy from 1993 just to see what that could be.
Then a remake of a 1993 gay comedy.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I got no interest in that one either.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring something up before we leave this weekend.
Oh yeah, so sure.
Because I would be remiss if I did not mention that it is WrestleMania weekend.
Would
And also,
That's not.
also there's some holiday going on too that Gavin probably knows more about than me.
Oh right, yeah, Easter, right.
But
WrestleMania.
yeah, it is WrestleMania weekend, so that's probably playing in your local theater, at least in the U.S. So
Does it do it? Okay, I don't know. I went to my first wrestling ever type thing yesterday night. So this is I don't know anything about what WWE is.
Oh, good. I'm curious now.
I went to a queer wrestling event called T-Boy Wrestling that's all non-binary and trans male wrestling performers, and it was super fun. There was a Twilight themed round where it was Jacob and Bella wrestling to fight, or Jacob and Edward fighting over Bella, which was a really fun kind of theme. So if that's what wrestling is, it's great.
I'm not familiar with that, but there is at least every WrestleMania weekend, the wrestler Effie does Effie's Big Gay Brunch show.
Ooh, okay. If gays endorse whatever the wrestling thing is, I can be down.
Well, and it's like, so Effie will put on a show, and it's almost all, if not completely all, queer talent on the Big Gay Brunch shows. But yeah, whenever WrestleMania happens, there are about a dozen to 20 other wrestling shows happen in that city that weekend because 80,000 wrestling fans are in town. You might as well sell them tickets.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to mention that WrestleMania, probably at your local movie theater.
All right, yeah, keep an eye out.
Or on Peacock, if you happen to be one of the 5 people who have Peacock.
Yeah, and Godspeed. But yeah, can I skip Bullet Train Explosion, or does someone want to talk about this?
I need to mention at least one thing, right?
Okay.
What's the premise of this film?
I don't know, a bullet train explodes?
No, it's a bullet. No, it's like, I think I watched the trailer and it said something to the effect that the train has to maintain a speed of a certain amount or else it will explode. And there it is. Here's my thesis again. It's just we're just have a glut of 90s style movies. So it's like it feels like a remake of Speed, but this time it's
Speed on a Train.
Speed on a Train. And Speed was already Die Hard on a Bus, wasn't it? Oh.
Pretty much.
I haven't seen Speeds.
It's
Speed is good, stupid fun.
Yeah, Speed is fun.
That's what I've heard. I've heard good things about the original for sure. And plenty of bad.
Don't watch Cruise Control. Don't watch Cruise Control.
Okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, that's all I wanted to say there.
Okay, so we can move on to the final weekend of April 25th. Well, speaking of things that are sequels, we've got The Accountant 2. Yay!
I didn't know the first one was a big enough hit to warrant a sequel.
I don't know that it was. Let's find out.
I remember there was talk of a sequel right after it came out, and then nothing happened, and I thought, oh, well, that didn't happen, no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know why we have a sequel in 2025.
No, it's mysterious.
And what year was The Accountant? 2016? Somewhere there?
And
I didn't realize it was so long ago.
It looks like, so it cost $44 million. It made just over 3 times that. So it was like a okay success, but not like crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obvious problematic elements to its depiction of autism.
Oh, I'm certain.
Otherwise,
you mean autism?
That's true of every single film that depicts autism.
Well, I said obviously, but outside that, I thought the first movie, I watched it. I know I didn't dislike it. I didn't like it enough that I've watched it again in the near decade since it came out, and I don't remember much about it, but it was, to my recollection, fine.
All right, and
which is, not a glowing endorsement.
Reviews are saying this one's an improvement, but an improvement on fine is not that exciting.
I mean, it does make you wonder. It's like, maybe this is the one that's worth watching. I don't know. The French title is Mr. Wolf 2, which makes me think the original is called Mr. Wolf.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
That's the time they're just mucking things up. So that's and that's, again, it's in English. It's not, it's not Monsieur Wolf. It's Mr. Wolf.
Do you not have accountants in France? Like, why did they change it?
I think because the title sounds stupid.
I mean,
French. I try to. So I don't.
Well, it sounds stupid in English. It didn't stop anybody.
Just a second. Let me see what the French word. I don't even know what a French word for accountant is, or I can't think about the top of my head. Comptable.
Okay.
Comptable.
I mean, I bet
would you see a movie called? I would not see a movie called Le Comptable.
I don't know. I bet you there was a very popular movie at the time that was called Mr. Something, and they were just copying that.
Okay. Yeah, they do that from time to time. It's like there's a series of films that begin with very bad, that are unrelated, and I think the first one was Very Bad Trip, and I can't even remember what that is a translation of. But like there was a cop movie with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Was
Was
that
that a thing? It was like
the other
two guns or
guys?
two guys.
The other guys.
Yeah, and I think the French title was Very Bad Cops. So
That kind of thing is interesting, but this movie is not. Yeah,
okay, moving on.
we've got the second. Minecraft is the big movie. We got a second kind of like slightly smaller video game adaptation. We've got the horror adaptation Until Dawn.
That's a video game?
Yeah, it's an adaptation of a video game. It's a video game where I mean, I haven't played video games in like 15 years, but I had a roommate who played this one. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure horror, like survive the night in a cabin, but there's like a bunch of different kind of monsters or killers who potentially kill you, and you have to try to survive the night. And this is kind of doing that through a Groundhog Day-esque thing where once you all die, it restarts.
Killed my interest in this. This looked kind of fun, and now you say it's a video game adaptation. It's like a death sentence right there.
Kind of, but it was directed by sorry, let me double check before I just start saying stuff. But I think it was directed by David F. Sandberg, who's done some pretty
Yep.
He did Annabelle Creation. He did Lights Out. He then did some DC movies that we don't have to talk about.
He's coming back to horror after slumming in the DC universe for a while there.
Yeah. And it seems like, again, so I compared, I don't remember. Oh, yeah. When we were talking about Death of a Unicorn, I said that sounded like they just expanded out another option from Cabin in the Woods, like another option of like what monster they could have chosen. And this one feels like, what if they were just chose a bunch of different monsters? And you just kind of get to play around with that. And that sounds kind of fun to me. But
yeah, I mean, I do enjoy time loop movies. Yeah, it's like I mentioned earlier, Happy Death Day is a movie I adore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think I'll go to a theater to see this, but I'll probably check it out eventually.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
When you said that the other big release of the month is coming out on this date, I thought you were talking about The Shrouds, actually.
Oh, I mean,
you're among people who think for whom a new Cronenberg release is like the biggest thing. Oh, it's definitely the thing I'm most looking forward to this month, just because it's a Cronenberg.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it, because we also have The Legend of Ochi, but I think that got moved, so it was on.
I already talked about it with Tim 2 months ago. Don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, let's not. But yeah,
that's the one that kind of looks like an ET type thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, I'm good with that.
Great, yeah. So tell us about The Shrouds, Gavin.
I mean, I only know what's in the trailer, and it's a Cronenberg movie, and the trailer's pretty obtuse, except that you can tell it's about obsession with bodies, and I think it's a French actress. Which one is it?
Diane Kruger's in it. There's a dog named Paddington.
Vincent Cassel.
Oh, I thought you said actress.
No.
Got it.
Did I say actor? Did I say actress?
I don't know.
No, but that's not what I meant. I said actress. I meant actor. And by actor, I meant Vincent Cassel.
I don't know most of these people. It's like, hey, 3 people I've heard of and a whole bunch I haven't.
Vincent Cassel and Diane Kruger. I mean, obviously they're the so he's the main character, and I guess his wife has died, but he's also monitoring her body. Inside the tomb, and has some kind of AI recreation of her, and is kind of obsessed with dead bodies. So this is very, and then it's vandalized. That's all I can make out from the trailer. I frankly don't want to know more. Mm-hmm. It's just want to see what kind of weird shit he's going to throw at us this time. Despite not having particularly cared for Crimes of the Future, but I feel like I extend him infinite credit based on his past work. And that's definitely the one I'm most looking forward to this month.
How about you, Brian? Are you excited about The Shrouds?
I'm not as big a Cronenberg guy as you'd expect me to be.
Okay.
Body horror is what... I mean, not everything he's done is body horror. Body horror is not my favorite type of horror film. And I don't know if this one will be body horror or not. It doesn't sound like a premise that immediately lends itself to that.
I'm not even sure if it's horror at all. Like he tends to I mean, what was Crimes of the Future? It was not a horror movie, I don't think.
Yeah, and it's just Cronenberg doing his thing, which is, that is a nice thing. I I haven't
Yeah.
seen a lot of the earlier ones still. Like just like with The Wedding Banquet, with this one, I was like, I will watch The Shrouds once I have seen like The Brood and Shivers and other things.
The truth is, my favorite Cronenberg is A History of Violence, which is, a crime action film with a fantastic Viggo Mortensen performance in the lead. But
He does love to
Yeah,
have
I'll,
those.
I'll second that. That and Eastern Promises were like, I think those were my first two, and they're very atypical of his earlier work. He's kind of been flitting around like with different types of genres, more drama
Hmm.
than horror, but still very interested in what you can do to a human body. Eastern Promises has that famous. Have you seen it? Have you guys seen Eastern
I've
Promises?
not seen that one.
There is a very naked knife fight
All right.
that gets pretty visceral.
and there's some pretty gruesome disfigurement in A History of Violence as well.
Yes. So stuff I have not forgotten. Thank you for reminding me.
He's still Cronenberg, even when he's, not playing in that genre.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't really know about that one, but there's one that I'd like to talk about. It's another one of the limited releases. It's called On Swift Horses. It's the type of movie that on paper I was like, oh, I'm never going to watch this. It's a historical drama. It's about a veteran coming home from the Korean War, and there's a weird thing that he has with his brother and his wife that it sounded like it was going to be a love triangle, and it might be. But yeah, so it's Will Poulter and Daisy Edgar Jones and Jacob Elordi. And I was just like, whatever. But I watched the trailer. I actually had to write about the trailer for Screen Rant, so I had no choice. But basically, halfway through the trailer, Jacob Elordi starts to have extreme chemistry with Diego Calva from Babylon, and then they start smooching. And I was like, okay, there's something going on in this movie that's not just a boring Korean War love triangle. There are like multiple queer angles. Like Daisy Edgar Jones's character also seems to strike up a relationship with some sort of seductress, another woman. How dare she? And that is more interesting to me, and it seems like it's a horny history sex movie in a way that a lot of movies aren't, and that is exciting to me, and I'm curious about it.
Busy month for Will Poulter.
Yeah, it really is.
I saw a trailer. I'm pretty sure I didn't see that trailer, as I couldn't figure out what the hell the plot was, except that there was sex involved and horses. That's
Equus?
No, it's more like they're gambling on horses, and they're gambling with sexual risks.
You say sex and horses, and I'm going to immediately think of Equus.
no, not sex with horses. No eye trauma. Anyway, the French title is Les Indomptés, which I guess is more marketable than On Swift Horses. That means the Untamed.
Oh,
But they Frenchified it this time. They actually put a French title in French, the French language. So
that's good, and that is a better title actually, just in general. And that's pretty much it. We have this Tom Hardy Netflix action movie called Havoc that I know nothing about, and am happy to stay that way.
it's directed by Gareth Evans.
Ooh.
Is the thing.
Our friend Andrew it's been his most anticipated movie for like 3 years running without coming out.
Okay, so it's finally actually happening. I did not realize this was a thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, I just very briefly mentioned, because we talked about it on the January preview episode, but Screamboat got pushed to this weekend from its January release. So if you want to see the Mickey Mouse horror film, maybe it's actually will hit a theater this time. No promises.
Yeah, maybe one, maybe 6. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. No promises. It might just keep getting delayed forever.
Yeah, look, I can't judge. I mean, literally after, well, I guess within a few hours after this recording, I will be going to see the movie where Bill Skarsgård is locked in a car. So I'm not like the purveyor of tastes, but yeah, Screamboat is not one that I am excited about.
I think I've had enough. Disney's doing a good enough job of trashing their own properties. I don't need other people to do it for me, for them rather. But Gareth Evans will get me in the door for Havoc, but the trailer did not.
Especially
excite
on
me
Netflix.
otherwise.
Especially it's on Netflix. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to spend any more money to see it.
It'll probably be better than The Electric State.
And cheaper.
Two things that's not hard to be.
Final reminder that before the month is out, everyone in France will have been able to see Thunderbolts, and I probably will not see it. So you will not get my thoughts in advance on this when I continue my Marvel embargo. I'm still trying to figure out the asterisk because
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us, maybe they won't. I think it's maybe telling that the most exciting thing to me about this movie is that Lewis Pullman is in it. Because I like him quite a bit. But the bizarre, misshapen mass of characters that no one has any reason to care about that they have assembled in this movie is such a mystery to me as to why.
It's like literally Bucky is the only one there's been given any reason to care about in the previous several Marvel things they've been in.
Yeah, and like Florence Pugh, yeah, sure.
I like Florence Pugh, but I didn't care about her character in that movie that she was in already.
She has like that stupid accent. I mean, come on, stop.
I mean, maybe they'll erase it like they did with Scarlet Witch's accent.
And just, we have yet another Stranger Things alumnus in this, right? David Harbour.
Well, he's from Black Widow also.
Yeah.
Well, I did not see Black Widow, so I guess I knew it was from Black Widow, but I didn't see it.
It's not good.
Yeah, okay.
Even by the standards of the MCU, it's on the low end.
Yeah, I thought it was totally fine, but yeah, I mean, I was excited to be back in the movies in the summer of 2021 or whatever, whenever that movie came out. But yeah, the assembly of characters here is just dismaying, even for latter era Marvel. Like, who the fuck is Ghost? I know she was the villain in Ant-Man 2, but
she wasn't even the villain. She was second.
I just I object to having to the expectation that I should remember anything about what her deal is.
Yeah, the original Thunderbolts comic book was really good, but it wasn't any of these characters. Yeah. So
well, you guys will have to talk about it again in a month when it comes out in the US.
Oh yeah, no, I guess stay tuned. But yeah, that's gonna be it. But yeah, thank you so much everybody for joining us. Next up, we are kicking off the month with a new episode of Your Movie Rocks, hosted by Mandy Albert. This show, this is the third episode of the show. I'm excited to see what happened because Tim came on, they talked about Sucker Punch. I made her talk about The Bye-Bye Man.
Don't think it.
Very curious. Ooh, I'm so sorry, everybody. You are thinking it, and I did say it, and we are all going to have to be haunted by Doug Jones.
That train is coming.
It sure is. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and I hope you have a great week. See you next time. Bye!